anfangen? Hello, 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 and welcome to episode 10 of the Ranch Roleplay Podcast. Today, we have no other than Oaks here to talk a little bit about how to be an admin. You might know me. My name is Juice Gaming. I play Rainier, the soon-to-be former mayor of Valentine, the current owner of the Crab Shack down in Blackwater. And next to me, we have none other than the big, the beautiful, the legend himself.
Oh, himself. My mic was muted. Oops. It's a really good way to start. My bad.
Well,
We also have Oaks here.
yes, Oaks is also here. Oaks is also here. Yes, yes. In case you didn't know, Oaks is also here.
I'm here.
Dip, you want to do your little normal introduction of why we do what we do?
Yes, of course. It's the 10th episode today. I just found out, which is crazy that you guys are still here. We do this because we like it, and we found out that apparently you guys also like it. And it is a fun and entertaining and engaging way for us to present interesting topics, whatever it may be, with you guys, and a way to interact with y'all in a fun way. That's the gist of it. And today we're interacting with Oaks, who some of you might have heard of.
Maybe
A bit weird if you haven't. Yeah.
Well, go ahead. Introduce yourself, Oaks.
What's up, man? You all know who I am. But if you don't, then I'm the one of the owners of Wrench, alongside Golden, Charlie, and Leo. Today I'm going to be talking to you about some admin stuff. Pretty much the ins and outs, what to expect, some misconceptions, and addressing some issues as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have just woke up, so I'm a little tired, but here we are,
Here we are.
dedicating once again my time and effort to the people of Ranch. Did Oak shave? Yeah, he did. Yeah.
All right. Well, I know that you have many things that you want to talk about today. So I just want to say a little bit about the reason why we wanted to do this episode. It was actually Oaks' own idea. One day I was just sitting on Discord chilling, and he said it was cool to maybe we could do an episode about how to be a fucking admin, what staff goes through on a day-to-day basis, because we're people as well. And as he said, there's a little bit of a misconception. So I think we're just going to start off with what Oaks wants to talk about in the beginning. So we want to talk a little bit about the early days of the server. The inspiration behind starting the server. What some of the problems when you started out with the server? What were you dealing with and shit like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, brushing over some of the things that we spoke about on the first episode.
Yeah.
That one was, even though it was nearly 3 hours, or was it more than 3 hours?
It
A
was
long time.
It was a long time, yes.
We only managed to brush over most of the things like that. So, and it's a good story. Doesn't hurt to hear it more than once.
And I think we on the development episode with Leo and Golden, we kind of brushed on it as well, but not too much. Not too much. So Oaks, go ahead, talk, do your thing.
Sure. I mean, the early days were really hard. As we say every time, we never expected to have such the community that we have. So we ended up thinking, we'd deal with about 40, 50 people, and then all of a sudden there's fucking thousands of people coming across. Like we had the initial kind of rebellion from Gold Rush, and then we had the fucking New Valley migration as well. So we had two kind of big communities following us over, to the point where we really panicked. We had like
Panicked?
I think we had a staff team. Yeah, like because we had like a staff team of 15 people. And then all of a sudden we had fucking like 3,000-4,000 people in the server on the Discord, and coming over, and people like testing things, breaking things, and then player reports coming in and general support requests. I think I remember the first 3 weeks of New Valley coming across. we'd have like support tickets come in. Like I'm stuck in the Valentine clothing store, which was the biggest one. And like when these tickets come in, you have to log in, you have to sort your admin stuff out, you have to go to them, bring them, all that kind of stuff. So, it was quite a lot of time consuming things that we did. So the panic was real. Like we had 15 people and thousands of people to attend to. Um, and it became stressful. And one of the biggest things I remember was I would be like, guys, you need to chill the fuck out and on like being there all the time. Because one of the biggest things was our staff members were just on 24/7. Like you'd have staff members like, oh, I've only had 3 hours sleep today, but all this, and I'm just like, why have you done this? Like,
We
you
still
have
have
a
some of
life. You
those.
don't need to. Yeah, that's true. It's like you need your time away. You need to think. But people were all straight in, um,
Yeah,
like all in
motivated, I
from the
guess.
start. Yeah, I mean the motivation is very high. Like it's been high since the start of the server, and we've been here a year now. I think we've dipped a couple of times here and there, but it's all still in the spirit of I want to help these people.
Did you experience like a
Uh,
massive jump between for tickets from initially when you started? I imagine that it was smaller, and then after it really took off, like you said, this migration from the other servers came in. Did you like from one day to another just feel like, okay, wake up and there's like 50, 100 pings for
yeah,
everyone?
so the big like the New Valley migration, for example, was the biggest one. Like I remember going to sleep one night, and I think we all went to sleep because it was in the UK times at the time. And we woke up and like I had like messages from like Maddie, I had messages from Charlie, I had messages from Chi, like I had messages from everyone. Like holy fuck, the amount of stuff that we've had to deal with this evening is crazy. Um, and I remember like shit, this is it. Like we're actually we have to put in a lot more effort and a lot more work in now. Like this
And
is
this
this
was
is
when we
something
didn't
that we
have
really need to commit to.
whitelist, right? We didn't. Whitelist came
Yeah,
in
this
in,
is
in
yeah,
February, so people could just join whenever they wanted to.
yeah,
And they did.
legit.
Yeah, they
And but then
did.
they did. Jesus, they did. I mean, we had a lot of like interest anyway, just because like we're custom built. The script itself is very well maintained.
Mm.
The management of the server and the kind of staff teams of the server was perfect. And people kind of enjoyed that. Like you go to one server and you're getting shit on by admins and staff, and it becomes a playground. And then you come to ranch and it's a different feel. It's definitely a different vibe. I know not quite a bunch of people don't feel that, but compared to other servers, I'd advise you to go play other servers and really see the difference. Because a lot of people do that, and that's one of my favorite things to see. And it might sound cocky, but I love when people rage quit ranch. I love when they're like, "Oh fuck this, the server sucks," blah blah blah, and then you see them 2 weeks later playing on the server at like 6 7 hours a day again, and you just think,
Yeah,
yeah, you've
yeah.
tried somewhere elsewhere, and you've realized, like, we and this is not me being cocky. Like at the end of the day, we're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. No server's perfect. Um, but at least we're open to adaptation and really working with people.
No, and as today, because we're talking about how to admin and stuff like that. We're gonna be a little bit open about create transparency when it comes to what an admin does. So most people here know what a ban appeal is as well, and just touching to draw a parallel of what you just said. Someone comes in with a ban appeal, and you see that I know I fucked up. I was actually gonna be, I wasn't gonna come back, but I tried to go role play on somewhere, and I just realized that it's just shit there. I want to come back. Please unban me. You know what I mean? I've seen him so many times, and again, not to sound cocky, but it's just like, yeah, well,
Yeah, it's pretty much like we understand because that's the main mentality is it's a case of like we understand why you was upset, but at the same time, here you are again.
Yeah.
um and it sounds really cocky in a sense, and it may kind of put off the wrong message, but when you kind of rage quit in that mentality and then come back, it only shows the kind of system and things that we have in place really.
But it also shows it, and not to shit on the people that come back and to say that, haha, we told you so. But it's more like, it also takes a certain amount of character and personality to own up and say, I was actually wrong. I was, please, and I like that. I like that. I'm not sitting there going, ha 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 ha, I told you so. I'm like, well, good on you for, good on you for owning up to it, and you know, that's a big plus in my book, at least.
Absolutely. And like the main thing that I kind of state is everyone's human, right? Like there's no point treating people like numbers, because that's really not what the server's about. You just end up being a complete arsehole, really. And your server just looks terrible without sounding like cocky again. But like if you're gonna sit there and treat people like numbers, you're not gonna have the desired community that you want, and it just becomes like, a money printing situation. It's not really fair on anyone. So yeah, so seeing people return is always really nice. Don't get me wrong, some people probably shouldn't return, but at the same time, I think that everybody's human. I think everybody's willing to learn. I think everybody can learn from mistakes. And I say I'm sure there's questionable people returned, but at the same time, I always say this, and I say this, I'll touch on this a little bit later as well, but I always say, yeah, you can ban someone. If you ban someone for really subpar roleplay, like we understand, right? But you never know. That person could come back, and they could be like the next best marshal in the server. They could be the next hardcore criminal in the server. They could be the best lawman, the best civilian, the best business owner. Like, there's so many things that they could have learnt and brought. And I think if you don't give people that chance to really showcase that, you kind of fall flat, really. But at the same time, some people can come back and they're the same shit. So yeah,
100%. We've seen
figure
that
out.
as well. So today, as I said, we're going to be touching about the daily life of an admin, what we go through, some of the stuff that we have to, I'm not going to say put up with, but different word, what would that be? Some things that we experience
Deal
through the
with.
day. Deal with as an admin, because, I don't know, again, this is why Oaks is here, because he wants to take you guys through it, what we can say and what we can't say, but anything from how to deal with a ticket, why we say what we do, why we try to keep it professional, the daily duties of an admin. Oaks is, that's why one of the main reasons you're here, to break that down for what we do.
Yeah, of course. I mean, daily duties of an admin is you wake up, you deal with 50,000 tickets, and then you go back to sleep. That's pretty much it. No, I mean, to be fair, like it's not just even admins. To be fair, it's like testers, and admins as well. They all put in the same amount of work. Like it takes a real certain quality of a person to kind of help assist with Wrench, because of the amount of stuff that comes in. I mean, if you wanted to just scroll through the tickets, just the ticket list,
Okay.
just to show off how much there actually is on a day-to-day basis. I think that's really a bad thing.
Sorry. Give me 1 second, guys. I forgot to set up the audio for that. Of course, I am that dumb.
Oh, don't say
Streamer
that.
is very, very terrible.
Give me 1 second, and I'll set up the audio real fast. I forgot that. Here we go. All right, here we go. All right, now we're back. Here we go. Back.
Okay, we're reloading.
Yeah, we're reloading. Let me scroll up to the beginning again.
Yeah. So
there we go.
as just is scrolling through, you can kind of see the amount of support tickets that we deal with on a daily basis. It's a lot, and this isn't even half of it. This is just what Jisk can see.
Yep.
There is many more.
There's lead admins, management, CRM, so many sub teams as well.
Yeah, and this is the kind of workload that we have to deal with. Like, this is another reason why a lot of the guys kind of struggle from day to day as well. Which is why I say it takes a certain quality of person, because um, as an admin, if you're coming home or you're waking up from work and such like that, like the general things, the duties and tasks that you do, are very much first and foremost support. Obviously, we give the staff like permissions to be able to teleport around, no clip, all that kind of stuff. I'm sure you've seen the no clippers halfway in roads most of the time, which is really hilarious, and I really have no idea what causes that. But it's fucking hilarious seeing the random things or the random reactions, and so what the fuck. But you've got all your kind of general basic commands. We don't go too many in commands because you'll know, like, for those who come from 5M or other servers, and even like I've seen people come from Minecraft roleplay and such, like you'll see the stuff that is the menus and such that they have. Like, you spawn cars, you spawn this, you do that, you can set people's health, all that kind of stuff. Ours are very simple when you think about it.
Oh
Ours
yeah.
is really like really um really minor compared to the features that other players and sorry other servers have, because you're able to mainly we focus on spectating. Like, spectating is the biggest commands. We've got the watch player commands, we've got the no clip commands, and we have other little commands and such that can really pick somebody up. But a lot of it is kind of assistance commands rather than beneficial commands. I think the only beneficial command in the server is literally set model command, and that's just for events, and that's nothing else. The rest is all pretty much like setting up a business, also spectating a player, kind of the intricacies, the small things, rather than the large things like making sure that somebody's got a horse for something or this and that. Um, so like the main thing is admins do spectate. A lot of people don't like this. However, I think if we're going to have a server that is up to standard, we definitely need people who are spectating. So the main expectation for admins is to spectate when they can. Um, and this is like, even if it's just big scenes, if you're no clipping over a Valentine and you see a big group of people outside the sheriff's office, have a quick watch, see what's going on, because we all know how stressful Valentine can be. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the same with like any major scenes that you can see happening is spectate them, see what's going on, because at the end of the day you don't really learn the community at the same time. Like, a lot of people have said it's kind of hard to moderate a server if you're not playing it, which is very true. So if you're spectating the scenes, you can see these things that are going down. Like, it's not so much spectating them for rule breaks, it's spectating them to see what's going on, really. And if you do see a
And
rule break, then you can go ahead. Oh, and
no, it's the same for spectating. We do that for we do that for your sake as well, because we as admins, when the server's full, nobody likes to sit in queue. Everybody hates to sit in queue, and we'll go in as admins and we'll spectate people that have been AFK for a certain amount of time. You might be writing up a report or something like that as a doctor, you know what I mean?
We're sorry.
Or something like that, But at the end of the day, we go spec to you guys to see if are you actually RPing or are you AFK, and should you then be, get out so someone in the queue can get in. So it's, if you don't like being spectated, I understand, but at the end of the day, we need to be able to spectate so we don't just roll a dice and see, all right, who's getting kicked? All right, ID player 197, you're getting kicked for some random reason, we need to.
yeah, what's that? You're in the middle of a shootout? Tough shit, man. We need somebody else on the server. Get out of here.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I was just saying that spectating is
That's all good.
is a necessity. We need to be able to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I really don't like that was it the 1984 meme format or 1985? I can't remember what that movie is, but where you're constantly being watched. Like, you're not constantly being watched for everything. Like, at the end of the day, like, an admin could watch you do a minor rule break, but if it's like in the spirit of roleplay, like, yeah, we let it slide. Like, things like that doesn't matter. It's really kind of like the context behind the stuff, but I'll touch on that a little bit later as well. But with them, the spectating is first and foremost, and then secondary is kind of like support. So the tester team are amazing. They don't get enough credit, honestly. I truly
Absolutely
will
amazing.
just say it out loud. The tester team is the front line of Ranch. It's a very, very
Literally.
annoying job.
100%.
Um, and
They're the
it's due
first
to the
line
way
of the
that
fence,
the
man.
team's
First line of the fence. Oh.
yeah, and it's just to the way that they're structured. It's very much like they need to. They're the ones who tackle the issues first and foremost. As soon as a ticket comes in, it's right. This needs to be allocated to somebody. This needs to
Yeah,
be forwarded
could you maybe
elsewhere.
touch a bit on that, like that whole system, to those that don't
The
know how it works?
Oh yeah, so the support system is very well is pretty easy. So when you submit a ticket, it's kind of allocated to specific areas. So if you submit a ticket and you're requesting something about a criminal event, that would obviously go to CRM. If you're requesting a ticket about a teleport, that goes to general admins, like the game administrators. If you submit a ticket, just anything about like my TeamSpeak's not working, well, that would go to the testers. You know, we've got the technical support guys; they kind of know the ins and outs of TeamSpeak, and they can capitalize on it accordingly. Even if it's just a simple question, if it's a report, and it goes to admins. So if you wanted to show that again, you could you'll see kind of the individual categories that we have.
Yep. Let me
It's
get
very
off.
much
I was about to. Yep. Sorry, man.
yeah,
Keep talking.
so it's very much like all the different categories. So you'll see that we have open support, we have private support, we have CRM, LFM, all the stuff, and these all come in as one kind of initial thing before they're allocated.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for example, the testers are very, very, very much the former. They're the filtering system. They're the ones who kind of a report comes in, they look at that, or a support ticket comes in, they look at it, and they allocate it to the correct people. Um, because at the end of the day, it needs to go somewhere, and it stops a lot of people jumping in on things as well. I noticed one thing that we noticed as well when we was in other servers was when you make a ticket, suddenly it's like 4 admins are typing or one support member is typing, and you'd be like, oh god, I'm gonna get like 3 different messages here. And you did, like, you'd get it straight in, and it'd be like, "Hey, how can we help you?" And it'd be like 4 people, different people, going, "Hey, how can we help you?" So by having it as an allocated system, it gets allocated to the right team, so that the team themselves can handle it, rather than everybody jumping on it. Um, with the testers as well, we always say that whoever is the first person typing on it is the
Yep.
first person to handle it as well. Because this is something early doors, and those who have been staff since day one, or they came on really early, will tell you a ticket would come in and 3 testers would be jumping on it.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like, just example would be like Dip would say, "Hey, how are you? You know, what can I do?" And then 10 minutes later, the person would reply, and then Yisk could be replying, and then like 10 minutes later, I'd be replying, and it just gets like really confusing for the player who's kind of putting it in. So by having it allocated to one person, it holds that person accountable, but it also makes that person the ticket submitter's representative. You know, at the end of the day, you can kind of build a rapport with one person rather than going through 5 different people. And I compare it to whenever you submit a ticket, sorry, not a ticket, like a chat request or an
Mm-hmm.
email to something like a company,
Mm-hmm.
and you get like Jack has replied to your email, and then like 2 hours later you've got Lisa has replied to your email,
Yeah, yeah,
and then
yeah, yeah.
4 minutes later, and it's just annoying. Like it's a case of like, who am I talking to here? Like, what is going on with my ticket? Because if Jack's had it, Jack's really not taking it seriously if it hasn't been handled, and now Lisa's got it. Like, why has she got it? Like, it kind of builds a sense of uncertainty. So by using kind of those real life examples, we pushed it into Ranch and just basically said, if one person's handling it, that is the person that's handling it, because it holds them accountable. It gets things done as quick as possible, but it also kind of gives you them as a representative as well. So like, even if the ticket's closed, like, you can get a DM sometimes and just be like, hey, could you just clarify that a bit further? There you are, done.
Yeah. But and touching on that subject as well, that like I don't know, I don't think anyone thinks this, but none of us are getting getting paid for this shit at all. This is all volunteer shit, you know. So if I am handling a ticket and it is 4 o'clock in the morning and you guys aren't answering me, I'm going to bed. Okay, I gotta go to bed. So if there's a gap there of like 4 or 5 hours, that's most likely just because I'm asleep, man. I'm asleep. So it's not like we at all every time like it's not all the time that we're trying to ignore you or just don't want to deal with it. It's because we're human beings, man, with real life job and real life responsibilities, man.
Yeah, and that's the main thing that I push for the staff team is like it's a volunteer position. Stop committing your lives to it, because I may insult some people here, but we're all a little tapped in the head to be role playing. I think, we're all a little bit like. And this is the thing is people use roleplay servers as a way to escape the real world. I know when I was younger, I did. Like it's
100%.
TMI, but like I got bullied quite a lot, so I was really, really antisocial. So I didn't really like go in and talk to people. Like, and I turned to games because like I felt like I could communicate with other people without them knowing, who I was and that thing. So when people come in to the server and then they get hooked on something, like it feeds that little serotonin bit, right? It feeds that little fucking lizard brain aesthetic of I'm doing something good here, which is great. But then you have people like Chi who bloody when we first launched had like 17, 18 hours a day, the crazy woman, and then she'd go off and do exams and work at the same time. Same with Charlie. Like Charlie would message like halfway through the day. She'd be like, "Oh, I'm just at work, but I'm just handling 4 different tickets." It's the same as you two. Like you two would just be chilling, and all of a sudden you'd be like, "Yeah, we're just on our phones at work. Like got nothing else to do." And it's like, guys, please chill. Like, there's no need.
She did it the other day. The other day, we spoke to her. She woke up
Yeah.
after like 3 hours of sleep, and she was sick, but she was still like on it. You know what I mean?
Unhinged.
And yeah, and I'll say this truthfully, like it pisses me off when you guys do that because it's a volunteer position. You're not getting paid for it, and you've got real lives to attend to. Like again, it kind of goes back to that tap thing where everybody commits to something if they love it, which is true. But at the same time, you shouldn't be stressing over tickets. You shouldn't be stressing over like what's going on the server and so on and so forth. The only real time that is a sense of urgency is if there's a hacker on the server, and that's it. Like everything else, it can wait, man. Like life is chill.
And just to add on that, like Oaks, I don't know if you want to like expand on that a little bit, because some people might listen to it. Yeah, but I have a ticket open or a player report or a report clarification open. I need this handled now, otherwise it's anxiety inducing.
Oh
you know what I mean?
God. The three things that piss me off with tickets, and I'll just say this, and I really like I feel bad saying this about my own community, but the three things that piss me off with the ticket is this hasn't been answered in 4 hours. I donate to the server. Why am I being checked like this? Or my friend was handled differently. Like there are so many different factors that go into support tickets that it's really hard to deal with. Um, like the 4 hour one, like my ticket hasn't had a reply in 4 hours. Hello, like time zones exist. Like we've got people covering all form of time zones. You have some people who stay up past their correct time zone. So like people will be like, oh yeah, you'll have an Australian player like awake at EU hours because they didn't sleep that night and they've decided to help with tickets. But then the next day, their sleeping pattern's fixed and they're going back onto it. Like it's absolutely fine to do so. And this is why we don't really get on our staff unless it's left for days on end. Like if a ticket's been left for days on end without a reply, then there's an issue. But if you've gone to bed or like me, I remember I had a ticket and then my friends dragged me out and I went to a creek and ended up chilling in a creek for 10 hours. I ain't thinking about tickets while I'm like face down in water chugging a beer. Like there's no way in hell that I'm going to be thinking about like if I spawned the correct horse. Um, and that's why like it really grates on me to see that my staff get shit about this kind of stuff because it is its entitlement in a way. Like my ticket hasn't been replied to in 4 hours. So what? Like I'm sure you can live without what it is that you require for 4 hours. It's the same with the donation one. Like we don't ask you guys. Like we don't ask people to donate. Like we never have. The only time that generally was at the start when it was like early supporting, and that was just to help us get off on our feet. But we always say at the same time, if you guys, if everybody stopped donating, we'd still pay out of our own money. So it's nothing to do like with money. And this is one thing that really bugs me is like, I paid Diamond Donator and my ticket hasn't been replied to in 4 hours. Get a grip, bro. Like your money means nothing.
You pay
Like,
for
it sounds
priority,
really
okay? You pay for priority to get
Yeah.
faster in on the server. Jump ahead. That's what you pay for.
And a new telegram.
Oh, new telegram.
Let's not forget.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I would rather you paid $50 on your own fucking personal things like groceries, internet bill, whatever, than donating $50 to the server and suddenly thinking that you have a status above everybody else because that's not a thing at all. It's just annoying, really. It is what it is. And then the other, like the friend, like this was handled differently, or you accepted this before, like things change. And you'll see that things change because the server rules have changed recently, as an example. The server rules.
Sorry, I don't. You go ahead and finish that. I'll add on
That's all
top of
good.
that.
Oh, okay, so I was just saying that things change. Everything changes. Like one week we had like XMLs everywhere. The next week none. 1 week we had I remember like 1 week we had everybody like making millions and millions on phishing, and then the next week it wasn't. Like things change consistently, not just on the server but in the background. Like one week we have a certain rule being enforced one way, and then the next it's like, actually I think this might be a better way of handling it. But then that ticket comes in and all of a sudden it's, well, last week this was happened. And it's like gravestones, for example. I would love to like grant everybody gravestones. I think they're an awesome way of generating roleplay. I think they're a really good memento to lost characters, but they're not feasible because they all add towards the XML limit that we have. They all add to server workload and such like that. And
FPS
eventually, it's a
drop.
case of, look, yeah, and it's like you might not think that one single thing has such a big impact. It doesn't, but when you think about it, like it all adds up, right? So in terms of currency, everybody has cents, everybody has pence, everybody has pesos. They all eventually add up to $1 or add up to £1 in one way, shape, or form. And that's the way that we see gravestones. Like every gravestone is eventually going to contribute towards a server impact, as an example. Um, and yes, like before, we allowed them. Like we said, yeah, these are fantastic. Like this is a great idea. But then it went to a case of it could contribute, and then this is why we're removing so many things, and this is why Maddie's awake at like 12 hours a day trying to figure out which XML is touching which. Um, so it's one of those things, really. And this is what the thing with tickets is things change, like rules change, support systems change, like requests change, like we're always trying to balance. It's a live service at the end of the day. We really want to make sure that we get it right.
And yeah, and to add on top of that, like when you said that people come in and my friend was treated differently, well, staff change as well. To give you guys an example, we have you guys have probably noticed, and Oaks is going to touch on that once he's done with the tester part. I'm guessing he's going to move up to tester admin and then admin 1, 2, all the way up. So we have a program on how you can graduate into becoming an admin, and that system was just changed a couple of months ago as well, which means that these admins are probably going to be different, a little bit different to what the old school admins were, the ones that were here from the beginning. So things change, so that's why you might also be like that admin had a different, but that's an old school admin, they were maybe taught a different way.
This is something that we understand, though. Like, at the end of the day, we want everything to be consistent. One of our biggest complaints is inconsistency across the staff team. And that's something that me and Charlie are actively working on at the moment, is we're really trying to figure out how we can make it all consistent without being autonomous robots. Because there's one thing I hate is treating everybody like a number on the server. Like, at the end of the day, yes, you are a number contributing to our server statistics, but you are a human being. You are a person. And this is why a lot of people really don't like how we handle reports as well, because at the same time, we really go into it as like the person and kind of put things and the genuine sincerity behind it. And this is what we say with the tester admin scheme. Like, as I say, moving on from testers, I will just say again, testers, anybody who's watching, they're a tester, you are heavily, heavily valued. It may not feel like it some days, but if it wasn't for you, Ranch would fall apart, and it's a really stressful situation. And I'm proud of every one of you, except maybe Ink. Ink kind of smells, but um, the rest, you're brilliant. But and this is the structure system, right? So one thing I really, really hate is admins that just kind of like on a server, you get promoted after you've done your time. So like I've been staff at servers before. Hang on one second. But I've been staff on servers before, and it's like after 3 months you're an admin, congratulations. And it's like after 3 months I can suddenly control how staff works, or I can address a player. Like it doesn't really seem right. So with the tester admin scheme, it's very much observation. So a lot of people think it's work ethic. It used to be work ethic, but we had from work ethic we've had some problematic admins. Like I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We've had some who were in the staff team who probably shouldn't have been in the staff team. We had people who really I disappeared off the screen then. But it's not anything to do with work ethic. It's always attitude and kind of how you speak to people and how you handle things. So one thing that bugs me is, and again, I'm just gonna call out some previous staff members and stuff, is people come in and they go, oh, I've done X, Y, Z. I deserve to be staff, or I deserve to be an admin, or I deserve this, and it's not the case. Like, it's all very well that you've done 20 whitelist applications, 50,000 tickets in a week. Well done. However, if I look through those tickets and you've been short, snappy, and you're not really the nicest person, then why would we promote you up? And that's where the tester admin scheme comes into play. It's very much about taking people with the right attitudes and molding them into the kind of people we like. And you'll notice the staff team in Ranch, all quite similar mentalities. Everyone's real laid back, everyone's real chill, everyone's real, you know, not so much I'm better than you. Like we did have a mentality problem where that was the case, don't get me wrong. But we're slowly kind of easing that mentality away from the staff team, and it's a case of listen, like handle what you can, and so forth. So the tester admin scheme is very very much a good system. If you want to bring that up, yes, you can. That's not a problem.
The tester, yeah.
But
Give me 1 second.
but it's very much broken down into a week process. There was very much it's very much built on what I did in my old call center when I used to work in a call center. It's about development and building people up rather than, oh, this is what you can do, go and have fun. Like it's little things like that don't make sense. So the tester admin scheme is very much a checklist system. It's also very much a guideline to follow. Like you want to make sure that you're handling people within the same respect of how you would handle things. So that's the checklist that you've got there. Have you got the actual system? It might be in the TA forums.
The actual system in here.
Yeah.
Is that the one you want to show off?
Let's have a look. That's the one, yeah. So you can see that it's broken down. So we've got a lot of learning processes. We've got stages, and it's very much like you have to pass a certain stage to progress. It's not you passed everything. Well done, congratulations, you're an admin now. It's very much a case of you're shadowing people who are experienced. For the first week, it's literally shadowing. You're not doing anything admin related. You're making sure that everybody is tuned in on what they're doing, and kind of making sure that everybody's comfortable in what they're doing. And then week 2 is more kind of engagement, and you don't really deal with player reports and such until week 3. And even then, it's a case of you've got somebody holding your hand when you're doing it. Because we want to make sure that everyone's comfortable, everyone's happy, and that you're all being dealt with in the same kind of manner. It's a struggle sometimes, don't be wrong, because everyone's got a different personality. Like the way Dip and Jisk handle tickets is probably certainly different to the way that I handle tickets, but that's fine. Like that's what makes us all human. But as long as you're following the general statistics and the guidelines that you need to make happen, then there you are. So the scheme is very good in developing admins. It was pretty bare bones before, whereas now I put in a lot of time to kind of draft it and use it better to go further. And we get some really good people coming out of it. Like not everybody passes the tester admin scheme as well. Like it's not a guarantee. Oh god, my voice. It's not a guaranteed position. Like it's not, suddenly you're a TA, all of a sudden you're gonna be an admin in a month. Like that's not the case. It used to be the case where if you was a TA, you was almost guaranteed a spot unless you absolutely messed up. But now it's you need to hit everything that's correct to ensure that you've got the right mentality, because otherwise it's just a case of thank you but no thank you.
Oh yeah. I don't know if you wanna touch up on the more of the structure of what we have. You have the green testers. You have the orange dried blood tester administrator. Admin 1, Admin 2, Admin 3.
Orange.
I don't know what that color is.
Am I colorblind?
We can go back to tester red and admin green if you want. That's fine by me. So yeah, the structure is very much built on two things. You've got your general main structure, which is your average staff team, which is what everybody understands. You know, you've got your testers, which are first line moderators. I really hated the term of mod. I don't like mod. I think it's very 5M-y. I think it's kind of cringe personally, because then you get mod and you get junior mod and senior mod, and it's just like, yeah, it's just weird. So we stole testers from LSRP, which is our old server. It's since shut down on SAMP, which is why we stole it. We didn't just take it from there and hope that it would become ours. LSRP shut down on SAMP, so we decided that testers would be the name. And this was kind of my decision. It wasn't really anybody else's, because when we launched Ranch, it was very much me dealing with the staff team. And then Golden and Leo were off developing, and they were kind of really good with that. So it was very much like testers, testing the server, like testing any features that come out, which is, it does happen. When ranching hits the testing server, I expect all testers to kind of go and break shit, because that's what we want. But at the same time, they're very much the first front line. And then you've got your tester administrators, which are testers that have been around for some time. They put in that work ethic, but at the same time, they're the attitude that we want. They're the people that we want, and they're the ones who we think, yeah, these guys would make some good admins. Let's train them up into the. And it's the Oak standard, I guess, because the standard hasn't changed since launch. It's very much the standard that I want everybody to be upon. And it's not being like that person locked away in an ivory tower. It's the people who are communicating and actually working with our groups. I dare say that you guys are obviously hitting the Oak standard with the podcast, because it shows that we are actually human beings, not just people like autonomous robots.
Sorry,
because it's
I
true.
just see
Like,
Dip like sitting there brushing his shoulder.
yeah, just like a. but it is very much my standard. But then it becomes the ranch standard. Like, it's not just me saying, oh yeah, it's Oaks only. It's the ranch standard, and that's the server that we want to be recognized and remembered for. Is good quality interactions. So that's where the tester admin scheme comes in, and then you hit your level 1, level 2. So level 1 admin is very much, and please don't use this against them, because I will fight you. It's very much a case of, you passed the TA scheme, well done. However, if you need a little bit of help, you've still got the more experienced admins to help you out if need be. And level 1, you kind of sit there for a month or two. Most of the time, it's me watching over, and Fade and Kite watching over you guys, to see how you perform, and then really comfortable.
You might want to touch
And
up on
going
that. Why
forward
does
with things.
Fate and Kite as well? Like, their
Yeah,
responsibility.
I'll go through that in a sec. That's the sub team structure. I'll touch on that. So then you've got your level 2s, which is where most admins should be. Like, realistically, every admin should be a level 2. Everybody should be comfortable. Everybody should be like, that's a case of, yeah, we think you're good. You can stay there, do what you need to, and that's where you can kind of relax. Like, you don't need to chill out. I love when I rule broke at Oaks celebrates a bear. Yeah, that's true. But like, level 2 is very much like, you are an admin. Well done. You've got this. We truly believe that you are the ranch standard. Good luck. You can still ask for help and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's, you're trusted enough to do decisions on your own. And the only time that decisions really come back and bite you on the ass is if we come back and talk about it. I see we have some solid people in chat. That's good. But and then in the level 2 stage is where people are very happy, and that's where most people go. Level 3 is very much people wanting to step up. So level 3 are testamenters. You have to be a testamenter, to stay there, and that's very much a case of, you're recognized as an admin who can really guide other people in the way that we want our admins to be. We can have people that are really, really strong in the things that they do. And level 3s are very much kind of like the seniority. There's no real seniority in the staff team, though. Like, a level 3 isn't suddenly in control of level 1s and level 2s. That's not the case. It's just, if you're a TA mentor, you're more knowledgeable, which is good. And then lead admins, seniors and leads. So seniors are very much the big guys. The seniors are very much the team leads. They don't really focus on tickets, because I don't want them to focus on tickets. At the end of the day, they are leading our sub teams, which I'll touch on in a second. if you're leading a sub team, there's so much work to each individual sub team that if you're handling tickets and a sub team, you're just not going to have a life. So for people like, I'll use Maddie as an example. Maddie is like, originally she was a lead admin and she was kind of expected to do player reports and all these other little things, but she was so clean on mapping. Like mapping really struggled before we had Maddie. And it was really, really hard because like we'd have like 50 billion people all in their hands in mapping. And we did have some kind of structure with it, but it wasn't the best of structure. So like we stuck Maddie there, and like mapping's been fantastic. Like it's in the best possible place that it's ever been. And I truly think if we lost someone like Maddie, it would really, really struggle. And it's the same with and that's the thing is like as a senior, we don't think that she needs to sit there and handle player reports because why would she? Like go ahead and deal with the mapping side because the mapping side needs help. The mapping side is what you're focused on, and it's the same with LFM. Like LFM, Bird and Benny, they don't handle player reports and such because they're too busy with LLM stuff. Law is always in trouble. Law, but at the same time, they're the ones spearheading things like the one department change. They're the ones who are spearheading lawman things. So for them to have to sit in meetings every day and then be expected to do player reports as well and support tickets, it's not really convenient for them. Um, so what we do is we broke it down, and I stepped a couple of them around and just said, look, there's no point you guys dealing with all this stuff when you're already doing so much work anyway. So, and it's the same with all our sub team leads. Like Grady, as an example, Econ, absolutely a legendary man. I don't think I'd know what to do without Grady some days because Econ is stressful. I don't know how anybody deals with Econ, honestly. Like I get tagged in Econ tickets and I just go,
and drop your headset.
Because I just can't be bothered.
We
Econ's
like the
just
pain,
really
Oaks, that's
stressful.
why. We like the
Yeah.
pain.
But Econ is struggle. It's a big struggle, but at the same time, you guys really really crush it. And this is the same with all our senior teams. And then leads are very much like admins that just go in above and beyond. And not saying that everybody doesn't go above and beyond because they don't, because everybody goes above and beyond. But leads are the ones that really really like. They're the ones that don't really sleep, or really don't really fucking stop. So I kind of bent them into a way that becomes beneficial because myself as management and Charlie as management, it's really, really hard for us to be everywhere. So whenever there's a gap in the server, we always pop a lead admin. So like LFM was really struggling because they were so focused on spearheading law stuff that doctors were kind of pushed to the side. And it's a natural thing. It's nothing like bad. So we stuck Chi on Doctors, and now Doctors is probably in one of the best spots it's been in a long time. Chi never should have left the Doctors, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it's we allocate a lead that way.
Can I give out a statistic, just a quick statistic about how much when you say leads don't sleep? So I don't know about this month, but a month ago, last time, because Oaks likes to do a little bit of statistic about how many tickets are being handled. We have a lead admin like Gigi, who handled no less than about 600 tickets in the span of 1 month.
Oh yeah, our leads are crazy. Like they are really crazy. And again, I'm so thankful for them. And leads are also staff management as well. So I'll touch on the structure of the staff team now. Most of you guys probably know, right? So most of you guys know that there's individual sections. That's kind of a common knowledge, but it's broken down much further. So we've got LFM, we've got CRM, we've got mapping, modding, we've got everything all included. And we got econ. I could go through them all. There's so many subteams. Subteams are very much, you guys are the impact of what we want on the server. This is why some of them get heat. This is why if Charlie makes a change with REO, everybody goes to Charlie because REO changes. If somebody makes something different on econ, this is why econ gets shouted at. And it's a thankless job, man. But it's very much broken into each individual team because there's no point having one person dedicated to one individual section, and it all being headed by one guy. And that's one thing I saw on other servers was if you wanted a business, the owner of the server had to look over it. Like, why? Like, why does the owner of the server need to look into your business? Like, you should trust your staff team. It's the same with econ changes. The owner of the servers or like lead admins had to review it. Again, why? Like, if you've got people who are actively committing their time and energy to a certain area of the server, they clearly know what they want to do. And it's like, it's the same with mapping, it's the same with LFM, it's the same with everything. Like, there's so many things that go into it. So we structured it, it's very much based on like an IRL kind of business, really. Like, you're not going to have the CEO involved in like day-to-day call center duties. Like, they have other things to worry about. But that's not to say that the bottom guys are anything different, because I always believe in the mantra of treat the janitor like you treat the owner of the company. Everybody has their own part to play, and everybody is equal, because without certain things, things fall, and it's all about making sure that the house of cards is stable and not toppling. um the economy is inflated. Yeah, not really. No, it's not though. Anyway, so we've got a lot of sub teams. We've got a lot of things that kind of go into it. And then it gets broken down even further. So we've got head of testers. So head of testers is Parrot and the lovely Gigi. Both focused on developing testers, making sure that everybody's comfortable, everyone's happy, make sure that the questions are answered, make sure that they're being evaluated, make sure everything's going. Um, excuse me. Make sure everybody's comfortable and knows their duties, and also they give them evaluations as well. They get monthly evaluations, they get feedback, they get comments, and they get guidance on how to move forward. But then we've got the head of TAs, which is Jisk, the lovely Jisk, Kenny, and you got Parrot also assisting in that one as well. Excuse me. Because tester administrators need someone to report to. Because if Gigi and Parrot had to handle testers and tester administrators, that's a lot more workload. Like, it's not really fair. But at the same time, we've got people like Jisk, Kenny, and Parrot who love developing people. Like, everybody, they're the kind of people who really want to put in the time and effort to build people up. And then it's always good to have a stop check there. And again, they get feedback. They get weekly feedback. I'm pretty sure now, don't they?
Yes, I do weekly sessions every week with them.
Yeah. And that's good. Like, you want to, like, don't get me wrong, it's a volunteer position, but at the same time, it's really nice to have validation. It's really nice to know what you're doing well and what you could do better. Like, these are things that really develop good people. And then you got your admins, which report to Kite and Fade. Kite and Fade are absolute powerhouses. The weirdest coupling I ever thought. I didn't really think that Fade and Kite would be people that would really work together as well as they do. For those who know Fade, Fade is just he's a bit of a dickhead, to be honest. But he's our dickhead. And it's true. Like, if he's watching, like, Fade, I love you, man, but you're the exact same as me. We're both dickheads. But it's true. Like, he's very much like, it's very good cop, bad cop with those two. And Fade is very, very, he's not strict, but he's very to the book. He makes sure that everything's followed correctly. And he's very, very on point with that. And then Fade, Kite is very much the good cop. She's very much like the angel and the devil on your shoulder. So, like, she's the angel, she's kind of convincing otherwise. And they are fucking amazing together. Like, again, like I said, I'd never thought that I could pull them up, because Kite is a very quiet individual. Kite kind of keeps to herself. Unless you really know Kite, then she doesn't. But in a ranch point of view, she very much keeps to herself, because that's the way that she works. Whereas Fade's a bit more, front and center. So I didn't really think, and truthfully, I thought, I really thought they wouldn't work. But my God, they are fucking brilliant. Like, they are so good together. Reports, like admin reports, get handled perfectly. They get a lot of discussion. They bring them to me every now and then. It's really, really, really good work. And then finally, the last stop is me. I kind of have been staff management since the start of the server. Head of staff, whatever you want to call it. It's one of those things. Everything kind of goes through me, and it's not for me to kind of be controlling of everything. I just like to be in the knowledge of everything, because Fade and Kite can remove an admin. They don't need my say so. The same with Yisk, Gigi, Kenny, and Parrot, all as tester administrators and testers. As long as you keep me in the loop, then that's it. That's all I need to know. Because ultimately, and it's a meme on the server, but it's true, everybody ultimately goes to Oaks. because usually I'm the one who will go ahead and be the final decision on something. So if someone's been removed and they feel it's unfair, then I'll investigate it, like that kind of thing. So staff management are very, very, very in the loop with everybody. They're very strong. They're very comfortable with things. And I'm very happy with the current iteration of staff management we have. We've wobbled, I won't lie. We've had previous bias issues. We've had previous concerning tester admin, tester leads, all that kind of thing. We've struggled. And I'm not going to bullshit it. I'll say it open on a podcast. Like, we have struggled with bias and that kind of thing before. Can we ban Bobby from the thing? I've just seen his comment in the channel there. Friends is the worst show created. Can we get rid of this man? I will just hang on. I'm just going to log on the ACP now. But moving back, like, yeah, we've struggled with things, man. Like, it's no server's perfect, but I can confidently put our hands up and say that things, we're more than happy to walk back on decisions. We're more than happy to hold our hands up and say it was wrong. We're more than happy to call it out. And there's loads of things that we've addressed, and I'd much rather address them publicly than behind closed doors and such like that. And a lot of people are like, oh yes, certain things are biased. Like, some areas can be really like that, but no server's perfect. And I think as long as we can tackle it and we can address it correctly, then it's one of those things. Yeah.
Which is one of the things that you get taught as a tester admin as well, that you, like, for when handling a ticket, if you feel like you can be 100% objective in a ticket, which you should always be 100% objective, the perception, the person that put in the ticket might perceive it as bias if they feel like, let's say a ticket came in about Dip and GG handled it, the person that, because GG and Dip has played and worked together for so long, the person that put in the ticket might see that's going to be a little bit biased there, isn't it? Which is where, one of the main things Oaks has also told us that, you can't handle tickets if it's someone that you're in a, close relationship with in game. You play with them every day or something like that. You know what I mean? So we try to steer away from that bias as well, all the way down.
Yeah, and like, whether it's favorite, fucking hell, sorry, I just woke up, so I'm coughing like mad. Give me a second. Sorry. Whether it's favoritism towards like players or any like discriminatory things, I always kind of call it out. Like, at the end of the day, I'll call out bias as I see it, and I expect people to hold me accountable. At the same time, I'm not going to bullshit. I've probably been biased. Like, there's been instances where I have, and there's been instances. Yeah, everybody's been biased at one point, because it's really hard to do so. But as long as you're held accountable for it and you kind of can justify certain things, then in my eyes, it's understandable. Like, no system's perfect. There's always room for human error, right? That's why we have the mechanisms. We have the admin reports, the staff reports, and if you feel there's any unfair treatment that's happened, put a staff report in. Don't rage quit the server. Like, if you genuinely think there's an issue, report it to us. We'll handle it. Like, at the same time,
second opinion.
It's at the end of the day, is if you don't agree with, like, let's say Yisk bans you, right, and you don't agree with it, bring it up. If you don't agree with a staff promotion, bring it up. If you don't agree with certain, bring it up. Like, these things you can bring up. Like, a lot of people, I think, really believe that things get swept under the rug, or they don't get addressed, and they really don't. Like, the only time that they get swept under the rug is if nobody brings it up. And it really struggles. Like, we've had previous staff members who've been reported for bias, and we've had previous staff members who've reported for admin abuse. We've had people, and we've removed them. We've kicked them out. We've had discussions, and these things do take place. It's really a struggle. But at the same time, the administrative team is really trained. You're constantly reminded that you're facilitating a really good experience for everybody. And if you feel that there is bias, I encourage you guys to bring it up through the correct channels. Like, bring it to us. We can ban Dip for attractiveness as well. Yeah, Dip is a beautiful man. Look at that man. Look at him.
So fucking gorgeous. Oof. I don't know if you've touched about all the way down from testers all the way up to management now. Otherwise, one of the next points that we want to talk about is dealing with players in reports and conflict resolution. How in a lot of tickets, a lot of things, we see the same themes, the same questions being asked, or the same statements over and over. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and touch a little bit on that.
Yeah, if you want to bring up the intent and context thread.
Yep.
My stream's a little delayed, but I will hopefully spot it when I spot it.
This should be on now.
Let's have a look. There we are. Yeah, so intent and context is very much the new way of handling reports, right? So recently the biggest complaint was reports weren't handled the same way every time, which is, it's really impossible to do such a thing because, at the end of the day, we don't want, we could ban one person for one thing. But if it turns out that somebody is, it wasn't intentionally malicious or anything like that, then, we're going to be a little more lenient on those things. So the report guide was drafted. This has been on the forums for all of about 24 hours, whereas it was on the admin announcements for about 3 months now. Um, and it's a case of every player report needs to follow the same format. It's a case of, was it a stressful situation or was it normal gameplay? Were there any in-game situations that could have provoked the behavior? It's all little factors of what's going on in the scene. So, and then the next one is a big one. Was the rule break something that outright ruins the scene, or can it be forgiven for the sake of a scene? A lot of people don't like this. A lot of people seem to think that we should throw the book on everything, but I truly don't believe that that's the case. I think if you can outright justify an issue that you have done, and it is for the sake of a storyline, we can forgive that kind of thing. And that's not to say that you've spawned in 50,000 items and you said, oh, well, I want to be a business supplier. But at the same time, like if you shot two people down, and there was a it's not the best reasoning, but they've reported you for RDM when it turns out there was, an intent and such behind it, then it's a bit more forgivable. It's the same with many situations. So I always ask the second questions as well: is if it's forgiven, that's fine. If it's something that ruined the scene, does this require opening you a clarification ticket? And then there's a bit of a mock question under there that says, does it really? Because one thing that really wound me up was we would clarification ticket everything. Like any ticket that came in, it'd be like, right, we'll drag these guys into a clarification ticket. And it's just like it's pointless. Like from a biggest complaint that we get is there's too many tickets, and it's true. Like Ranch is very very strong with tickets, and it's not just from the admin side; it's from players. Like people report the most minor of things these days, and it's annoying because then staff have to follow this, and then they have to go through the checklist, and then they have to do the clarification tickets. So the question I've got underneath there is, does it really? And the question behind that, and the kind of motivation behind that is really think about what this clarification ticket is going to generate. Do you really think it's going to generate the answers that you require, or do you think you can make your own judgment based on the scenario that has been provided? Um, and that's only if it's going to be forgiven. By the way, that's not going to be if you're just straight up on it. So again, it's very much kind of like the ideas behind it. Because if we look at context and in-text, it makes intent. Sorry, it makes make much better decisions, rather than you have broke the RDM rule. You are now banned for 3 months. Goodbye. It's a case of, I see that you've RDM'd here, but I can also see the justification behind it. All right, like I understand that not everyone's going to be happy in this scene, but it can be forgiven a little bit. Like just be careful next time. Have a bit more intent behind it, and that's it. Like, and people hate that. Like I know our biggest complaint is like the way that we handle reports and tickets and such like that. I'll be honest, you're gonna have to suck it up. I'm afraid, because at the end of the day, it goes back to that thing of like, I'm not treating players like numbers. I'm treating you guys like people. And at the end of the day, is everyone's liable to human errors. Um, you got to understand the player's motivation. You've got to really dig into it to see if it's an intentional rule break. Like it's very easy to sit in what's the word? It's very easy to sit in Valentine and catch 50,000 rule breakers, because that's the kind of level of role play that Valentine has from time to time. It's very easy for us to kind of go, that's an intentional rule break. But it's also quite easy to review evidence and say that looks a bit accidental, that one. Was it ruining the gameplay experience? Was it deliberately? Even if they weren't aware of the rule, it's being aware of the rule is very like, ignorance isn't an excuse, but at the same time, some things can be skipped. And I've got the statement at the bottom of this one is saying it's not about catching players, but it's about establishing trusting and an enjoyable environment, which everybody's treated fairly. Um, So I completely agree with that. I don't think we're ever going to change that. And, I'd rather have that on full display for people on the podcast and for people to come back and look at this if they ever need to use to refer to this. Um, it's, very much this is how it's going to be, because at the end of the day, it's, if we throw the rule book at everybody, we're going to end up with really disgruntled players. If we constantly remove people and ban people, don't get me wrong, we're going through a very strict period at the moment of ranch. We're very much cracking down on shit tier role players. And I will happily just say that on stream. At the end of the day, if you are a shit tier role player and you're not providing the role play experience that we expect, I'm sure 3.0 Gold Rush will take you at the end of the day, because it's not the roleplay quality that we want. Like at the end of the day, it's a case of we want people who will log in and give you day-to-day roleplay, people who actually think about the things, consequences, everything. And that's kind of what the staff team are there to evaluate. Sorry. The only reason I'm saying that is because when they launched it and they're like, "Oh, we created Ranch, chat shit. You didn't create fuck all." And then there were claims that they banned us, even though they never did. So yeah, fuck them. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to touch up when it comes to handling player reports, I was going to ask you if you wanted to, explain a little bit about, is when, let's say I open up a player report on Dip, right? You
Why
then
is always me?
because I'm using the people that are here right now, Dip. Okay,
Right,
and
fair
then
enough.
Breaking rules, Dip.
You
Okay,
then open up a
alright.
clarification ticket and you pull in Dip in that. Dip then starts immediately saying,
What did I
"Yes,
do? Just can we make a concrete example here? Use what did I do wrong?
Okay, all right. You kidnapped me, and then you shot me. Then you brought me to the doctors. Like an illegal doctor, whatever you want to call them, someone that's not part of the LFM anymore. And then you robbed me, or something like that, right?
All right. Yeah.
And then in the clarification ticket,
Typical Sunday
you
evening.
then start saying, yeah, but Yusk also, I just want to point out what Yusk did in that situation is subpar.
Oh God. Revenge reports, man. Like they're so annoying.
But not just revenge report, but in the clarification ticket, right? We're here to address what happened from your side, not what the other part did. But also
Yeah,
revenge
so-
reports, yes.
The main thing is when a report comes in, that's the thing we're addressing. It, like, at the end of the day, if it comes in and you've both been really bad and really subpar and it's blatantly obvious, then we'll tell you both off and we'll both slap you on the wrist and tell you to get a fucking grip and pack it in. However, if you come in and Dip's been reported for all of these kind of stuff, so in terms of like, if Dip's come in and done all these kind of things, and then it turns out that Yisk was OOC for half of the situation and such like that, that's really easy for us to address. But if he turns around and says, "Oh, this happened, this happened, this happened," then we advise you to open your own report based on this person, so long it is founded with evidence, and you are going to report that initially. Because one of the things we find is revenge reports come in, and it's like, somebody reported Gigi as an example. And then like 2 weeks later, all of a sudden they're reporting Gigi for every little minor inconvenience that she does. Like it's rampant in certain areas, and it's
witch
just
hunting.
cringy. Like it's cringy, it's weird, and personally, I just think it's like, get a grip, man. Like, at the end of the day, if you break a rule and you're punished for like what, a day, like it's a day. Like, go out, touch grass, do something. Like at the end of the day, it's just a game. Like I really, I really want to stress this to the community: is please remember it's a game. Please remember that if you're removed for a day, you broke a rule. Just take it on the chin. Like, you messed up. It's fine. Move on.
Oh, that's my favorite
Excuse
people
me.
in a report when you're like, all right, we're gonna slap you with 24 hours or something like that, and they go, yeah, I'll take it. I understand. I respect that, and like we can just move on from there.
Yeah. And that's where the intent and context comes in as well. It's very much, if the person is genuine in their report, you're going to be a bit more lenient on them. Like, if someone's like, you know what, yeah, I fucked up, man. Like, I'm really sorry. Like, and these are the kind of things that we look for. If you're coming in going, I didn't do this, Dip did this, he broke this rule, blah, 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 then it's just a case of, man, that is like, Like, I understand why you're frustrated, but like, come at it like an adult. We're an 18+ server for a reason. Like, if you're gonna come in with heat and upset and fucking your lactic acid building in your arms because you're stressed out, like, go take a break, bro. Like, at the end
Yeah.
of the day, like, it's not that serious. Like, it's
Work
yeah,
work
exactly as
with
Popeye put
the
it,
staff.
whataboutism.
Work with the staff. Don't
Yeah,
work against us, man. You said that in the beginning of it. If you come in with a hostile attitude, bro.
and this is the thing is, I tell my staff members, I'm like, look, if you're gonna be if you're getting hostile things, I'm not saying being hostile back, but like, you don't get paid, so you're not there to tolerate it. Um, so I just wanted to address something that Action Plan said. A couple of examples of scenes that have been reported, but it's just decided that breaking a rule had helped in improving the scene rather than ruining it. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of any scene recently. Um, but like there has been scenes where a person has been like shot down or been character killed or something like that, and it's like, we get that torture and kill, huh? Oh, yeah, there we go. That's actually, yeah, GG's perfect, right? So we say a blanket statement is you can't kill someone after you torture them. Like for the sake of roleplay, continuing stories, like we want it to continue. We want things to kind of progress more than just like a 2-hour scene and moving on. But let's just say Gigi has been openly snitching as a civilian on the Dip Gang, right? So the Dip Gang's us three. Um, we catch Gigi with her pants down. We hog tie her. We take her out, and in the end of the day, we end up torturing her. She accepts torture permission. She's happy for it. And we're just torturing her for evidence, for information. Like, what have you said? This, that. And then, things get heated. She chats shit. She gets a bit angry, and we decide, you know what? I took her finger off, but I'm also going to shoot her in the fucking face. Like, rule wise, that's a no, don't do that. Bloody hell. Jesus Christ. No, no, absolutely not. However, you know, at the end of the day, if you're torturing her for information, she's giving you a lot of grip and she's not really 100% within. She's like, fuck you, I don't care, but you'll never take me, like all this kind of thing. Yes, it ultimately ends in her player kill from the scene. Yes, ultimately she has to forget everything that she knows. But that's the rule. That's the route that she took in the situation. If she decided to snitch and then you ended up getting player killed for it, then there you are. GG, well played. GG, well played. GG. um,
The dad
but
jokes.
but that's it. Like, and if it came into a report and it was like, Gigi kind of reported that, and then ultimately we watched a clip from the other side, and it turns out that she was chatting shit and she was really like, really aggressive and such, despite being, tortured and such like that, or she gave all the information that we wanted. Yes, I did snitch on you. Yes, I've told this person. I've told this person. I've told this person. That gives me a huge hit list of people to go and fucking track down. Now that gives me a storyline to continue, right? So that to me, if you shoot Gigi in the face, it's justifiable. Um, Whereas, if you're just kidnapping somebody randomly and torturing them and they give you the permissions and so forth, and then you shoot them and it's just been, for a sake of like a conflict war. Let's say two factions, I'll just say Scots and heathens are at war as an example. Let's say Scots kidnap a heathen member, they cut off his finger or something, or they torture him, or they do something extreme, and then they shoot him in the face. It's really the fair. It's not really the best of situations because that person's now removed from said conflict, should it arise into anything additional, and you haven't really gained anything from it. Like torture roleplay should be very much like, either sending a message or gaining information. And if you've gained enough information and the scene kind of justifies somebody being shot, then that's absolutely, absolutely fine. Like at the end of the day, you know, we've kind of forgiven people who have kind of NVL'd a little bit because, at the end of the day, if they've CK'd from it. Like there was a scene where I think there's one guy in it. It was like the John Marston scene, if I remember correctly. If you all played the Red Dead one, if you haven't, spoilers ahead, turn off now. And I'll give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That scene where John Marston gets absolutely fucking blasted at the end of the game, like,
Turn into Swiss cheese.
yeah, where he gets absolutely rinsed. Like there was one guy, I can't remember his name, but he did that against Law, and it was a fucking awesome scene. Like he was stood alone, he was ready, his fucking Lancaster was out, and he picked it up and started firing. He got absolutely rinsed. Like there was no way he was surviving that. Normal rules, dictate, oh, this is an MVL, but the guy was CKing. Like he straight up like put, is not bleeding, sorry, has no pulse, has bled out consistently, and then he ultimately deleted his character. Like, and a ticket, I remember the ticket did come in, the ticket did come in, this guy NVL'd, and we looked into it, and it was like, yeah, but he character killed. Like,
Yeah.
did it really ruin the scene, or did it really end someone's story in a pretty glorious kind of out in a fire way? And those are two scenes action plan that come to mind. These things can be forgiven because for the sake of good role play, I'm not saying this, so please don't ever clip this and use this against yourselves in a report. But if you need to bend a rule to provide a good story, sometimes you can. Like sometimes you can get away with it. I'm not saying do it, but ultimately it's up to the kind of staff member and the storyline that is witnessed.
Which brings it
But
back to
yeah,
what you were saying. Did it ruin the scene, the overall role play, or did it eventually enhance it? Brings it back to that.
exactly.
Yeah, that's what
Exactly.
it's all about.
Did it ruin the scene?
Yeah, creating
Did it really?
story, and we have these rules that kind of, they function as the structure within what this is more or less what we believe is a good, starting point for being able to do these things. Like having a rule against NVL, because you can't just, keep coming back from the dead. So things like that, and all of these things, as long as it creates good story, because that's what it's all about, then they are bendable to a certain extent. Of course they are. It's also when you were talking about intent. When we deal with the reports where all of these things happen, usually what we do is that we try to figure out where is this coming from. How did this rule break happen? Usually I will ask them, you did this and did this, is that correct? And I ask them why. Because otherwise there's no way I can figure out, was this with the intent to create story? Or was this done with the intent to do something that we don't condone or necessarily believe that lives up to our standards? And if it's story, almost always I'm like, all right, good to know, I'll pass that on. Because that's what it's about.
Yeah, and ultimately you're going to end up with pissed off people from that kind of mentality, and it's like, well, no, we think he ruined the scene, but then you look into it, and it's like, well, did he? Like, and this is one thing that we really struggle with, especially on the criminal and law side, is like, that WL mentality. I can't stand it. I think it's one of the most cringiest things on the server, and every time I see it, I'll just outright call it out. And it's like, these four guys ambushed us on our way to a so and so like thing. And it's like, yes, but what conflict have you had with them before? Oh, well, we tortured one of their members and we shot this one of the criminal leader's wives in the chest. Well, you deserve to be ambushed then. Like,
Yeah.
realistically, like, it unlucky, like, and then because people like they get downed and they get upset and it's like they can't really take the heat, it really begs the question of why are you a criminal? Like, in my personal opinion, you're not going to be invincible. No king lasts forever, my son. Like these things happen. Um, it's just they're one of those things, and like a lot of ways that we look into it with the scenes is very much like Dip said, is well, what led up to this, because there's no point. And this is one thing that we really struggled with in the early doors, just touching back on early doors, was we'd go into the report and we'd be like, okay, this person's broken a rule. I know this person's history. This person's not really the best role player. I'm confident that he has broken a rule. And then like it'll go to a staff report, and then it'll come to me, and I'll review it, and I'll just be like, well, ask the person what happened. You ask the person what happens, and it turns out that the shitter is fucking provided the better role play. Like this is,
Yeah.
these are the things that admins have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. It really, really struggles. And it was a mentality that we're still ironing out to this day. Um, you can't go into a ticket with the mentality of I know this situation or I know this person, because whilst bias against one person in nepotism and favoritism is one thing, being biased against a certain person or group is not really fair. Hey Maka,
No, the thing
it's not
is
really
that
fair.
you should always go into a ticket with the mindset that you have one side of the story, you need the other side of the story as well to formulate your third side of the story, which is as an admin, your objective side, because if you come in hard, in a ticket as an admin, because we've seen that happen before, if you come in and straight up just say you broke this rule, I would be on the defense as well. Like immediately, I didn't listen. So this happened. This was actually what happened. So we try to, always come in with can you just explain from your side what happened? And obviously I would
That's why I
like to
can
think.
just.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
I was gonna say the best way I can describe it is, you know, the age-old like children's tale of Red Riding Hood. There's three people in the story of Red Riding Hood, right? Well, there's four if you count the hunter. So you've got Red Riding Hood, you've got the big bad wolf, the grandma who was unfortunately eaten, and then the hunter who eventually slays the wolf. So like. First off, Red Riding Hood puts a report in. It's going to be like, "Oh, this person, you know, this wolf ate my grandma,"
No.
and it's not fair. But in realistically, the wolf is trying to eat, man. Like he hasn't eaten, he's struggling. He's like he can't hunt, so he's eating a human, which is fine. So then the hunter comes in, and the hunter's like pissed off because you know the grandma is a human being, and it's you know you've got to kill a wolf so that it doesn't kill other humans. There's always a different story behind every situation. Is the point I'm making? So you know, from one perspective, you know, it's right to feel upset from Red Riding Hood. However, at the same time, it's right to understand why the wolf's eating a grandma, and it's also right to understand why the hunter has killed said wolf.
Mm.
It's a little bit of a far-fetched analogy, but it makes sense.
Another thing that you also wanted to touch up on, which is one of the things I was looking forward to talk and hear your point of view of, is enforcing server rules and maintaining fair play, because we do have a lot of things where we understand that if you have played on a different server where crosshair was allowed and you then go into ranch, you forget to turn it off, or you didn't think that it was asset transferring or something like that. It's just integrity as well. Like sometimes we just have to dish out some punishment to make sure that everything stays fair to everyone. And I want to hear you talk about that.
So we have like major rules and minor rules, right? So major rules are pretty much we're not walking back on them, right? So major rules, I mean, it's probably a hot topic now, and I apologize, but like asset transferring is a major rule, right? So it doesn't matter the context behind it on those kind of rules, because at the end of the day, it's all about server balance. It's
Yeah.
all about like interactions, which is why we have like the will system in place. The will system is very much look, we understand that you want to be able to have small things given to players. We want to have like little things given to other people as you pass away. Um, because at the end of the day, it's a case of sorry, I fucking blanked out for a second. But at the end of the day, it's like this is our creative way of allowing you to bend the rules a little bit and allowing you to have sentimental items and assets go to people that you have role played with on a daily basis. That's fine. What's not okay is like leaving the server and giving everybody everything. That's not really fair on anyone, because like as a regular player, let's just say you don't really role play with a lot of people. Um, let's say Rattle, as an example. Rattle is somebody who's like um outside a lot, running around fucking tall trees and such like that. Like, if he dies, realistically, he's not going to have a will and give his assets away. But at the same time, realistically, if somebody dies, they're not going to give him the same stuff. Like, and he's got to earn his thing on a day to day basis and kind of produce everything on a day to day basis and survive in game. And to then, like, say you're a solo player, imagine hearing that that's received like 20,000, a business, 2 horses, and 4 guns because their friend left the sub. Like, what's the point? Like, it's undermining, and that's one thing that I think a lot of people struggle with on the server is like assets. Like, it really, really is strange that people cover assets. Um, because people like they all seem to think money in my my money stat is a main thing. How many horses I have is a main thing. And so on and so forth. It's like, and that's touching back on it, is it's a major rule break, because ultimately you're undermining the balance of the server. Ultimately you're kind of giving somebody an advantage because of other things. What kind of investigative work? This God guy, like, no offense to you, bro, but I don't think you understand the internal of the actual server. If you're going to sit there and say none when we've removed staff members, and we've got massive amounts of things, I'll even pull an example up. If the staff member is happy with it, like, get a grip, man. Anyway, so like major rule breaks are a huge thing. Major rule breaks are very much it's I don't care. So if it doesn't matter who you are, if you've got a crosshair, go away. Like you're out for 6 months. You're out for 3 months. Sorry. In No, sorry, I was right the first time. Anyway, if you hit a major rule break, see in a bit. Like there's no kind of justification for that. Whereas minor rule breaks is different things, right? So minor rule breaks can all be forgiven, and kind of like intent and context behind it. So yeah, Fitz, yeah, you got to get rid of your crosshair, man. We're on to you, bro.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. That's the thing. One of the things, because again, we don't necessarily want to be the bad guys, but sometimes we just have to be the bad guy, to maintain server fairness and integrity,
Just because I am
So
bad guy does not mean I am bad guy.
exactly, and I don't want to have to sit here and dish out 6 months ban and 3 months bans, but again, it's to ensure server integrity and fairness across the board, and not everyone
Yeah.
thinks that that's fair.
And we do make exceptions for some people. Don't get me wrong. Like, and this is where the bias claims come in. Um, there's been people who have been like caught with a crosshair, but they've been hunting, right? Hunting's not really a PvP interaction. They're not using it to really gain a firm advantage over somebody else. And we've been like, okay, we can forgive that. Do it again though. See you in a bit. You're out. Like goodbye. You're never returning. And like if you're forgiven after a major rule break, and then you go ahead and major rule break, you are permanently removed from the server. Like there is no secondary method behind that. So a lot of people seem to think that because people get forgiven, that they get treated differently. But it's not. It's if you get forgiven, it's basically you're going to get fucked up next time. So it's one of those things. That's all it is. It's just one of those things. But at the same time, like that's not me saying that you can use a crosshair either, because I would much rather get rid of you for using crosshair. I'm just saying,
you can, just not here.
Yeah,
yeah.
go somewhere else where it's
What I'm
allowed.
saying, what I'm saying is before we really forgave people, because at the end of the day it was like understandable. Now it's a firm stance. There is no thing. So if you come up to us and say that, oh, I was only using it for hunting, that's not my problem. You shouldn't have been using it in the first place. That's what I'm saying. So sorry, I might have misconstrued that. Previously, we have forgiven people. We've been lenient on it because it was hunting. And little things like that. Whereas now it doesn't matter what you're doing, even if you're using it like just to shoot bottles. I don't really care. So yeah, I will say, despite a few crosshair users, it's a major rule. Is hardware-based crosshairs. Yeah, it's a very hard thing for us to really deal with. However, I'm not going to bullshit you. It is very easy for us to find out. I know a lot of people seem to think that we really don't track these things down. We do.
Oh yeah.
It takes us a little bit longer to get to the punchline. I'm not gonna lie to you, but if you are using the crosshair, you get found out pretty sooner rather than later anyway. So yeah, I understand that people seem to think that we can't track it, and I'm not saying this to be cocky. We generally can. We have our own methods of finding out, and yeah, you don't really fly under the radar for too long.
I think also,
but just
especially with the crosshair one, is that if I remember correctly, that was like a server-wide vote.
That's what I was told as well.
Yeah, because like way back, we had a few days where we brought it back, and after that, we then like the entire server got to vote. Do we want to keep it or do we want to get rid of it? And that being a then server-wide vote, obviously we're saying, okay, how can we, what fits range best, with immersion, with the pacing of gunfights and stuff like that, and everyone, the majority said we want to get rid of it. So not only if you have, if you use crosshairs as a third-party modification, you do something that we've told you not to do, but you're also going against what the majority say. This is some of the fragment that we would like to have, our stories created in. It's like it's a rule that we all decided, yes, this is what we want. And I think going against that, especially when there's always other places you can go where you can use it, fine, it's even there, that's not something we want. And you going out and doing it anyways, just like, screw everybody here, I want to do this for myself. Just don't do it, man.
I will just say, like, we're in a roleplay server where gunfights are supposed to be like long. You're supposed to have that adrenaline rush. You're supposed to be going at each other like when conflict does arise. And this is why we put in the new cover rules and the new combat rules as well. Is because if you're doing a Fitzold and standing out in the open and spam firing your Lancaster, you're going to end up getting questioned and yeah, zigzagging, like all that kind of dumb stuff. Sorry, Fitz, I'm joking. But like if you have to install a crosshair to be better than somebody in a role play scenario, that's just cringy as hell, bro. Like for me, it makes no sense. Like if you're gonna be sit there and like, oh, I'm the biggest, best, bad gunslinger, but you've got a crosshair to back that up, like get a fucking grip, man. Like it's just cringy, like because all you're doing is you kind of like making scenes favor you, which not only is an unfair advantage, but at the same time, it's not really fun for anybody else. Like, you're just going for a win all the time. And roleplay is all about like back and forth. Like it's all
it's
kind of the
terrible
same
story
thing. Like
creation. Like
yeah,
simple as.
and that's kind of why we've put the combat rules in. That's why the recoil is the way it is. A lot of people don't like the spread and stuff like that. But tough shit. Like at the end of the day, it's to prevent people from being absolute dog tier role players using a crosshair and suddenly thinking that they're the best person on the server because you can PvP better than me. Like who cares? Like get a grip. Um, Realistically, like if I look at a scene, and I'll just use us three as an example, right? If I was taking cover against you guys, and because I had a crosshair, I shot both of you guys in the head, and the scene itself was like 2 minutes. However, if we have a gunfight, right, 1 against 2, we're all in cover. None of us have crosshairs, and we're just fucking like firing over each other's heads, and like shots are landing close, but they're not hitting, and that lasts for 10 minutes. That's a much cooler scene, in my opinion,
Exchanging
man, because the
shots and
payoff is big.
banter.
Yeah, like you fucking the scene's bigger and better. The payoff, like one of my favorite shootouts, and I meme Fits for this a lot. But one of my favorite shootouts I ever watched was in Shady Bell, where the Terrors were up against Law, and Law. I think there was definitely more than there should have been Law, but still, I don't think any of them actually reported it. And this is what I really like the Deterrors for is they don't really report things. They just kind of go with the thing. Oh, is it Cipriani's? Oh, okay, thanks, Fitz. But the group themselves didn't report it. Like there was a lot of fucking like opposing lawmen, and it was just a big shootout. But like apart from one person running out and fucking shotgunning somebody and then running back in, um, like, and then everybody else was firing from windows. Everybody else was firing into the windows from the outside. The shootout itself lasted for a good 20 minutes, man. Like, I heard about it in character on Miles, on my law character, and I was like, I want to go spectate that. So I fucking got out the back, and that was like 20 minutes. And that's when the gunfight had started. I sat there for 20 minutes watching it, and it was just awesome to watch. Like, and those are the kind of scenes that we want in Ranch. Like, if the Ciprianis came out and fucking just started running at people and like firing and dropping all those lawmen in like 10 seconds, 20 seconds, an hour long, okay, sweet. So like, but the point is still stands, right? If that scene ended in like 30 seconds because everybody fucking shot down, the accuracy's perfect, and the crosshairs are on, what really does that generate? Like realistically, what does that generate? It generates nothing. Like now, I can sit there and say like that was one of the best shootouts I've seen. Like I've seen some shootouts in Armadillo, like that have been really good. I've seen some shootouts in Saint Denis that have been awesome. Like if you have people in, good shootouts that aren't, fucking Valorant fests, and you're trying to get the win every time, and you're having fun at the same time. You're creating good gunfighting
Wrong game,
scenes.
mate. Wrong
Then there you
game.
are.
Just wrong game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like if you want to win everything, like just go around the corner.
I don't know if you want to touch on the one. Was it Action Plan? That had. No, it's energetic. It was Sheep. Sheep had a question.
Yeah,
about
yeah,
how do you
absolutely.
ensure the
We'll do that.
that staff reports gets.
I'm gonna go for this.
All right, you go ahead, Deb.
Okay, thank you for zooming in.
I think that's a great question because at the end of the day,
Follows
it's only a minority of staff members that actually gets to know about staff reports.
Yeah. So staff reports are very, very formal. The one thing that we decided when we made Ranch was if a staff report comes in, it needs to be handled as if it was a HR report in a company. So in these kind of things, they get handled by people who either don't have connections to the person who are handling. Like for example, I won't touch a player report that's on an admin report that's on like Para or Maddie or even you, Yisk, to be fair, because of the friendships that I have with you guys, like I won't touch it, and it always defaults to like Charlie or Leo or Golden, for example. And it's the same with anybody. Like if any staff report comes in, the first and foremost person is who can this be allocated to that is going to be the most look at this in the most objective
Non-biased.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Grady, you've had 2 staff reports actually. I swept them under the rug though, because that's how Ranch works, right? No, but anyway, so the let's say a report comes in about Grady, right? So Grady's been really, really mean to somebody, didn't really handle a ticket well, and was just really blunt and didn't give the person anything. So that comes in, right? So in that case, then it would be allocated to Fade and Kite because it'd probably be more allocated to Fade than Kite. So Fade would look at it from an objective point of view. The first and foremost thing is gathering the evidence from the player or the admin that has reported. So if a staff member has reported another staff member, which does happen, like it's the case, everyone should be held accountable. But if they do get brought up, then the first thing is gathering everything from the report, asking questions, asking for examples, asking for evidence. These are all the first and foremost things. The second one is they go to the person themselves because it's no point issuing a punishment for someone if there's justification or genuine concern behind it. And in this example, we'll just say that Grady's had a really bad day, and unfortunately, the player that he dealt with had to take the brunt of it, which isn't fair. So it would be a case of, okay, Grady, why did this happen? What can you can tell us that justifies this? And even if Grady justifies it, if we look at it and we say, look, if he turns around and says, oh, I've had a shit day and I've been blunt and this kind of thing, well, that's not really the rank standard that we operate from. So if you've been a dickhead to somebody in a ticket, then you're going to end up fucking with repercussions on the staff team. Not a lot of people know this, but we do have a staff punishment system as well, which works on a strike system depending on the actual issue that is at hand. So, for example, if you've been a dickhead in a ticket, it's not the worst thing in the world, but at the same time, it's not the best representation. So you would kind of be placed on 1 of 2 strikes. However, if you had been abused or you're openly being a shithead or something like that, that's 2 of 2 strikes seen a bit like you're either demoted, removed from a position, or removed entirely. And you've seen staff members that have been removed entirely. You've seen people that have been forcibly resigned as well. These kind of things do take place. So once those kind of things, it gets measured up against like the admin punishment system. It's kind of a case of is this really something that affects people? Is this really something that's really bad? Is this something that can kind of be like a right? Please do not do this again because you'll be gone. We handle admins the same way we handle players. It's very much a case of intent and context behind it. So in this scenario, if Grady had been blunt and the player, Grady would have been given a strike. And it's a case of next time, if somebody is having, if you are having a shit day, don't log onto the server, don't handle tickets, man. Just go and chill, go and do your own thing, because ultimately it reflects us at Ranch, and image is everything. So yeah. Am I allowed to ask what happened with Yama? I mean, you can just speak with Yama herself. Like, there's nothing really, really bad with that situation, as far as I'm aware. I just think there was some pressure. I'm not really 100%, but you can personally ask that person themselves.
Yeah. Sorry, I was I was trying to pick out some clips here from staff out of context. One of the things that we wanted to talk about as well today was you dipped a little bit on sub team discussions. I don't know if you want to reiterate a little bit about how important like something like mapping, economy.
Yes,
or like how much it brings so much to us, like how much like Maddie works, how many hours she just does for you guys, sits there, works a damn butt of, or the events team, or anything like that.
Yeah, of course. So I touched on sub-team structure, but internally, like there's also a sub-team structure within the sub-team. So it's kind of structure all the way down, really. The main thing is like a lot of discussions happen. Like first and foremost, discussions happen because at the end of the day, there's no point making a decision based on instant reactions and such like that. So like if an event comes in, let's just say like the DeLuca crew want to do like a big bank heist, and we're like, oh, we may be able to support this in some way, shape, or form. Then it goes to the CRM team. We have a discussion first and foremost. If we think it's good, then we'll loop in the events team to back us up. And then events team will discuss it with us and what is allowed, what we can go ahead with, what really is going to be beneficial for everybody involved, rather than simple things. So like, there we go. Yeah. So in terms of this, it's one of those things where there's a lot of internal discussions, and a lot of the times you wake up and you've been pinged 4 times in 4 different channels because you're like, right, I've got to look at econ today, look at events, and then so on and so forth. And it's the same as like kind of treat it like a player report as well. Like it comes in, you want to make sure that everything has the context and such behind it. So if a mapping request comes in, it goes straight to the mapping team. Like there's no really somebody there's no real kind of like formality behind that. It's just a case of it goes to Maddie. Maddie and the group have a look at it. If they think it's good, if they think it's feasible, then perfect. If it's an XML, then it'll probably be denied. And then but there'll be more little discussions and so forth of what kind of mapping can be allocated, what can be done, what little scripts can be tied to the mapping. And it really does go through like an individual thing. Like, if you've got a ranch map, for example, then you're obviously going to want water things, so you can fill water buckets up and you can go and you can farm, so mapping loop in with development, and kind of like we've got object lists and such that's tied to the scripts. We've got object lists that have been purchased and such like that. Like, I wish I could show you the mapping Discord, because the mapping Discord is phenomenal. Like, there is so much in there that really goes towards it. And this is the same for anything, like LFM. I feel bad for LFM because I left them and I turned around and said, "Hey, can we look at one department?" Because me and Golden had discussed it like half-heartedly once, and we was like, one department would probably be really good for us. Like, this is something we should have launched the server with. And now we're moving into a new era of roleplay. I really want to see something different. So it was a case of, hey, Benny, hey, Bird, here's what we want you to do. And then they had to discuss it. Like, I think Bird and Benny had like 4 meetings a day at one point, speaking with law, speaking with people, establishing SDBD, which is fucking fantastic. I've heard. I can't wait to kind of hear more stories about them. Um, and kind of establishing the format that we want. And it's the same with CRM. Like CRM itself, like went through a big change. And it was very much a case of we were stuck on some old ways, and we wanted to make sure that we could kind of move forward. But at the same time, the work that 50p and Sheep did was fucking incredible. Like the criminal scene, and I'll say this as well. You can clip this if you want. The criminal scene wouldn't be what it is without Sheep and 50p. We had absolute terrible shitters. We had awful groups. So when they were held to a much higher standard, like through those two and the IFM, they were fucking like awesome, man. Like and it really echoes across the server. And I still use their stuff to CRM today. Like like the whole war systems, the whole strawman systems, everything that's kind of like coming into play is their work, and I will not hold credit to that. Like they really fucking really did well, man. And that's the same with all the other teams as well. So like economy, I got sent a big list once about economy stuff. I think we're still debating that and kind of making changes. That gets pushed to economy. They discuss it. They kind of link in with econ. They link in with development side. They try and pull statistics. Like there's a lot of work that goes into it. Like if an econ submission comes in, for example, Grady will look into it. It gets forwarded into the team. Then development statistics are pulled from the actual server to see if it collaborates with the actual claims. If it does, then we look at kind of making changes script-wise, economy-wise, and move forward with that. I'm sure Dip can comment on that a little bit more than I can. But it's the same with any other sub teams. Like every sub team, once something gets submitted, there's no instant decision on it, which is why it does sometimes take a couple of days to kind of get finalized.
Yeah, it does get bounced around. Like it's like you bring an example of that would be if someone starts a new business too. They want to have something, some recipes and whatnot, and then we look into, because we on the econ team try to make sure that everything has a use, because as some might have forgotten, we strive to make a player-driven economy, which means that even though that time zones and whatnot can be a challenge, it's always most worth it to sell the stuff to people in the game. So therefore, we try to make everything usable, and that's why whenever if someone has a recipe they want to make, we then look and see what can this use. So it will go in first to the business team that looks over the proposals and whatnot, and then when it comes to the recipes, we look over those to see how they are structured and so on and so forth. And then, like Oak said, if it needs something else, it can then be sent to development, for instance. So everything gets bounced around depending on who needs to look at it and who needs to implement it, and that's why it's really good that we have all these, and all of them they work together in unison to make sure that we can accommodate all the great ideas, and while still staying true to what it is that the vision that we have for everything that is range.
Awesome. Yeah, and it's the same with like every sub team. Like every sub team has discussions, every sub team has arguments, every sub team fucking fights each other on things because at the end of the day, it's all about the spirit of the server. And yeah, so it's always good. Yeah, that's all I can really say on that one. Oh dear.
No, I'm just picking up. Sorry, I'm picking out some of the stuff out of context. And some of them are hilarious.
Oh, you got some of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just picking out to show, she told me to show so we could show that we're just humans as well.
Some of these stuff, man, like
Yeah.
so for those who don't know, kind of going to leak a channel here, but we have a staff out of context channel. I've seen this in a couple of other Discords as well, so it's kind of like carried on. It was a thing that I did in old servers where something was out of context said. I'd like take a screenshot of it, like and it's just funny. Like I've got a screenshot of Golden asking if somebody has a big schlong, and somebody asking if they want was it Fade saying that he ERP'd somebody. Like I've got heat on you all, man. But they've got heat on me at the same time. Because just out of context stuff is so funny. Like I don't know why it is. I think it's just because like if you don't have the full reference behind something, like it just makes it that much funnier, man. So like we've got a channel called Staff Out of Context. And it's basically it's just stuff that is said randomly, or random things that have like been taken really out of context. I'm sure just if you've got some,
Yeah,
like
I'll this was the one that made me laugh because this is most obviously where Faded Angels was supposed to shifts uncomfortably.
oh no, she's
And
human.
forgot to press the F button, obviously. Yeah, we got a few in here. Oaks himself, right? Well, this wouldn't be an accidental death, which is what the system's set up for. You've been aware of a train. It's big, clunky, and you go woo woo. Shally and Chi having a conversation about ball sacks and dildos. Chi telling her parents. Again, is completely out of context. So this is Golden talking about not being able to reproduce myself.
I forgot about this one.
So yes.
Poor guy's just trying to fix bugs, man, and he's getting bullied.
Shally says it's coming to get stuck if you sleep in a bed. I don't know. I don't know where these are coming from, but I just picked some out. And
the more intricate and convoluted whatever they were talking about is, the more funny the out of context one is.
Yes.
This one.
I don't know where this is from. Milk is drink, Granny's
I know what
food.
it's from.
It's someone Danish took the picture at least. I can tell that. We have
I think that
Panda.
was
My
me,
favorite
actually.
ones.
I've been tagging the admin team. They all have unstuck step bro powers.
Jesus Christ, Panda.
I guess someone was stuck in Valentine.
Holding store.
Yeah.
Bloody hell, Panda.
Oaks wanting a higher admin, higher than Oaks. Jaws going God.
Oh yeah.
Theo, I believe you were the admip. Yes, I was the admip. Some random stuff from the wiki, the rule wiki, people found somehow.
Oh yeah, the rule wiki's like so. This is because we allow editor permissions on any page except rules, so we just get like spam bots here and there. And it's some of the stuff is fucking hilarious, man. Like you just like the smart trick of where does a BDSM ring go? Like where does the BDSM ring go? Like come on, tell me.
Unbiased view of hog tie sexual. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
know.
eager to read that one.
I think this is a Chi. Just doing a mock report. Apparently, delivered 12 babies every 10 seconds, fixing 86 bullet holes. Maybe she was just at the end of her wits.
One of my favorite ones is Ink. Somebody, there was a really like entitled player who said, "I want you to tell me, and I want the person who made this decision." And
Yeah.
and it really gave me like chaotic energy because Ink went, "Yeah, that's fine, man. I'll get you the person who made the decision." Left it 5 minutes and come back and
Yeah,
just goes, "Hey, man, I'm the one who made the decision."
I scrolled past
Like,
that one. I scrolled past that one.
it just makes me chuckle so much because like
Yeah.
in reality, it's probably not. Don't get me wrong. Like from an admin point of view and like a professional point of view, not the best, but at the same time, still funny. And that's the thing is like other people just fucking like. I think if you can look at the funny side of things, like it's really good. Um, and we really do get some fucking like really mean people, man. Like so like this is what I say as the staff team as well, like the staff guys and the ones who are listening are community members as well, is you guys are volunteers, you don't get paid for this thing and you're not here to take abuse from people. So if somebody gives you abuse, meet them with the same energy. But at the same time, don't obviously go overboard. But I'm sure we've all worked in retail and customer service where we've just been like, I wish I could tell this person to fuck off. In ranch you kind of can, but not in the worst way. It's just a case of man, just meet the energy that they're doing. But yeah, some of them are really, really, really thing. Have you see the unbanned Alfie one? That one's quite funny.
Yes, the unbanned Alfie, and you
Yeah.
edited to no.
Actually my favorite ever one was before Bird and Marcy met up for the first time. It was real like what was it? It was like real. They were real cute. I mean, they're still cute anyway. Don't get me wrong, but like they were real cute and like they weren't really like over the top. And then fucking Marcy goes ahead and they're meeting in a week. And Marcy goes, I made Bird the undersheriff because he's going to be under the sheriff in a week. And I just lost my shit. Like I thought it was the funniest thing I've ever seen, man. I was like, and it was in the Snapchat group as well. So I was like, this is the best thing. I screenshotted it. Like, it's like my favorite image. It's so funny. Like, and this is why we pin some of the dumbest shit in the server as well. Like, I just can't get enough of like out of context stuff, man. It just makes me giggle so much.
I don't know if there's there's some other points you want to talk about as well, about when it comes to staff, how we do and how we react. I think that we've touched about it a lot, that we want to be we want to be like service minded and try to work with you and don't come in with a
Yeah,
bad
like
attitude, work with us.
I guess the takeaway from. Oops, sorry, I'm lagging.
No, you go ahead.
I guess the takeaway from it is like at the end of the day, staff are human beings, right? We're not these autonomous robots that people seem to think that we are. We're not just this is the rule book. You must be slapped with it. Um, it's very much a case of like these guys. They wake up and they go to work and then they come home and they have to deal with stuff. Like it's. I mean, they don't have to, but they choose to deal with things. Work with us, man. Like I know a lot of entitlement is in the server. A lot of misconceptions, a lot of oh well, what about this or this happened previously, blah blah blah. Things happened before, And this happens in the staff team. Like, we change tester requirements for sometimes, we change TA requirements. Things change. At the end of the day, we grow through change. And if we have to make on-the-fly decisions and stuff like that, sometimes, ultimately we have to. And that's kind of like how I want to make sure that people understand is things change. If you work with us, chances are you'll benefit from it anyway. Like at the end of the day, like we're trying to help you ultimately. Um, so yeah, like for me, it's just a case of just dial back the entitlement. Like we don't owe you anything, but at the same time, we want to support you. So we kind of do owe you things at the same time. So like as long as you're in that healthy balance of like working with us and we're working with you, that's how Ranch flourishes. I think if the community is good, it's all very well having an awesome community, sorry, but at the same time, if the staff team is shit, then the community is going to suffer. And that's the same as if the community is shit, the staff team are going to suffer. Like it's just, it's a healthy balance that we really have to work out together. It's like rock, paper, scissors, a lot of the times.
All right. Well, I think that it's time for us to open up for some questions. I know that you've been trying to answer them rolling. So right now, if anyone has any questions for the rules or for Oaks or for the podcast, but mainly for Oaks or the rules or anything that we've been talking about today, feel free to hit us with them now.
I'm just going to preface, I'm ready for hard-hitting questions. I understand that there are people are going to be upset over things. Just be warned, you will get the most honest of replies from me, as you always do. But feel free to ask anything. Like I'm not really off limits. How Rob? I think you need to ask Alison that one. I think she's really, really good at that one. In reality, she's fucking incredible. How do you handle people that make multiple tunes to harass a certain group? So the main thing that we do is we kind of look at activity first and foremost. So if you're kind of like on the receiving end of this and one of the players, perfect, send it in because then we can have a look at the alternative things. So we look into like their activity, we look into their /me's, we look into kind of when they log on. So if you guys are logged on at the same time and coincidentally they change character, then it's very easy to spot. If you see their /me's and they're absolutely dog shit and they're targeted towards you guys, very easy for us to spot. And activity as well. Activity is something that we can really see. I don't know. Did you want to just pull the ACP up and just show the activity thing, just so like we can kind of see?
I'll pull up my own ACP.
Yeah, and please don't pull up mine.
No,
I'll
pull up
just
mine.
try not to show the full thing, like the full ACP, but just as an example, like you can really see the activity on there is we can see when you've logged in, we can see how long you've been logged in for, like we can see if you're an absolute no life at like 700, 800 hours all the time, parrot. So we can see like, each individual thing. So if we do actually do that, if you are on the receiving end of that, we can really track it down. So long as you can kind of give us something to work with, then we will always back you up on that one. Is it more important to display realism and good roleplay scenes or follow the rules? Genuine question. I'd say display realism and good roleplay. Like at the end of the day, rules are made to be broken in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, we don't want to go straight up and bend every rule. But at the same time, if you're providing really good scenes and people are enjoying them, and unfortunately you've broken one rule to maintain that, but nobody's upset and everyone's happy with the scene, like go for it, man. Like that's absolutely fine. Like good scenes, good role play is first and foremost, and that's what I'm trying to champion into the admin team is, look at the scene first before you look at the rule break.
I pulled up my activity.
Perfect. There you go. So you can see the activity. This is why we can see. We can see. So it's really easy to spot people if they're on tunes and stuff. Like if the purple dot suddenly arose at the same time as your dot, like we can really pick up on that really quickly. So let's have a look. When will Cal be given permissions to KOS anyone? Never. Who's the best admin and why is it me? I don't really think there is a best admin personally. And I'm not saying that to kiss ass. Like everyone is strong in their own way. And yeah, I think every admin that we have is really good. I think we're in a really good spot with our current staff team, if I'm honest. Not actually a rule question, but what sign is Oaks? I am a Pisces.
A what?
A Pisces.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I don't know what it means, but sure. Yeah.
I'm sure he'll know. Anyway, Let's have a look. The man is the most obvious Gemini here. You're wrong, bro.
Oh, it's fish. Okay, it's fish. All right, got it.
What else? What about Fitzold? Why was this guy not banned? He's on his way out. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Why is Oak so sexy? Because we both have the same mum, bro. You already know. She makes good-looking kids. For those who don't know, Hazza278 is my younger brother. He's ultimately watched me play Samp when I was younger. Moved into the 5M scene. He hosts 5M servers and such like that. So if you ever want to play like a 5M server, reach out to him. Like they were actually really good servers. He's not arrogant like me. Yeah, he's not arrogant like me. He's a very nice guy. As you can imagine, like we're cut from the same cloth, man. So yeah, he's a really good kid. I miss him, man. I used to live with him, like just going into things, but I used to live with him daily. Live with him daily, of course I did. But I lived with him from 18 until 27. And like the first thing I've done in Australia is I miss him, man. Like I miss being able to be like halfway through a game and him coming in and going, "Gonna order a takeaway, mate. Do you want one?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, I would love a fucking takeaway, bro. Like, fuck yeah." He's looking after my cat as well, Mittens. So yeah, he's a top guy. Top guy.
I don't think he is.
Yeah, I don't think he is, bro. I don't think he is. I think he.
Oh, that's your fucking problem. That's
God
my kid
of
brother, man.
RPG goes. What made you want to start your own server rather than play a server?
So we were playing a different server, man. Like we were playing Gold Rush, and this is on the first community meeting. You can see that I got banned during that community meeting. So like we really wanted, like we've come from really bad servers. Don't get me wrong. Like Gold Rush is just one of many. Like and then don't get me wrong, they're not a bad server either. And I'll just say that outright. Right, they're not. They're not the worst.
It's different.
It's just different. Like it's a different clientele. They serve different people, and that's fine. But we've come from other servers where like the administration's been terrible, the script development's been terrible. Little different things have just all really like they just add up. And one day we just woke up one day and we just was in a group chat, and like we've got the Come Zone group chat, and we were just like, guys, we should just make our own server. Like this shit is so annoying. Like we're always so fucking dealing with like constant shit all the time. People don't understand what we're looking for. Like, and this is the thing is Wild RP, for example, serve an awesome clientele. They serve streamers and kind of like the voice actor side and so forth. We wanted to kind of do something like that, but we wanted to serve the wider audience. Like there was a gap in the market for a really realistic fun server, and that's what made us do it. We wanted to really, really go into depth with roleplay scenes. We wanted to kind of serve that clientele that were looking for something a bit more. Like we're looking for something where you're really you're playing a day-to-day character rather than logging on kiss kiss bang bang.
Before you read any more of these questions, I just want to do a public service announcement. You can read over your little notes, Oaks. See if there's anything you've missed. I put them in our group chat there. I just want to do a public service announcement. Next Sunday was supposed to have mapping on for the podcast. I will be reaching out to the people that have not actually made it to the 2023 cut. There's a lot of you guys that have applied to be on the podcast. And unfortunately, we were all filled up on 2023, but we have an open spot for next week, and I will be reaching out to some people because unfortunately Maddie can't make it for mapping because Maddie's getting all of her wisdom teeth getting pulled out. So let her heal up.
Just do it on stream. Come on.
So let her rest and let her heal up. We all, like a lot of us, know how painful that is and how under the weather you are afterwards. But that was my public service announcement about next week. I will reach out to some of you to see if you can make it for next week. Now back to Oaks.
Yeah. One of the questions Drexy just put is dipping into 5M something you've ever thought about? I'm not going to bullshit you. Yeah, of course we have. The main consensus between and I'll say this out loud as well, is 5M really has a vacant market that doesn't have the quality of roleplay that ranches. So in terms of the ranch quality, like storylines that are developed and stuff like that, and I understand that 5M's a different fickle beast, right? But there's a lot of effort that needs to go into it. There's a lot of things that make sure that these things happen, right? So in terms of 5M, it's a whole different ball game. It's a whole different market, and I think there is a very wide open hole that needs to be filled in 5M, and we've kind of thought about it. But ultimately, Ranch is our baby. Like I think if we expanded into another server, we'd either lose the quality that we provide Ranch, or like it would just really wouldn't take off anyway. And we've seen that happen with different communities, and Ranch is a bit so. Sorry, Ranch. 5M is a bit at the end of the day. Like, because one thing that winds me up with 5M is I tune into a stream and you see like full fucking dudes like all in red cards, like with the bloods, and they've got cat ears on, and you just think, bro, what is this? Like, there is a market that's definitely to be hit, but in terms of like dealing with it, nah, probably not. Um, look. Um, so sheep hard. Okay, so why do you staff members? Oh, I'm scrolling up. Sorry, give me a second. Not investigate properly when staff member, was reported as removed from staff by the head of TAs the day after I moved him from the IFM team. If staff investigations were to follow the methodology you stated previously, they would have recognized the commands I used were used whilst in the company of other admins with the permission of other admins and whilst on the events team, account testing for IFM. I was not questioned about this. That seems like an oversight more than anything. Can't truly remember the full things with the IFM side. However, if it is a genuine like oversight or a genuine like not full investigation done, you can bring it to me. Like I will look into it for you. Like at the end of the day, I'm more than happy to kind of put time out of my day to go ahead and ensure that things are right. So, however, if if I was the one who didn't do that, then I would advise you kind of take it to Leo and Golden because whilst we are all four of us are management, like all four of us are management, let's be honest, Leo is the daddy of the group. Like it's just easier. Like for me, I'm very much hard to really dedicate time to things at the moment. Like I often look at things, kind of give a half-ass response sometimes, and then just leave it. When in reality, I should give a bit more time and effort with that. So, Sheep, if you genuinely think it, and you said yeah, you did bring it to me, then I would advise bring it to Leo, man. Like that guy will hold me accountable. He will string me up by the balls if it's wrong. And I'm more than happy to be held accountable at the end of the day. I'd rather things were done correctly, and I'd rather things were called out. And you're very right in kind of bringing things up publicly, because if we're not held accountable, then we don't progress forward. I believe your ethics and server construct would be great for a world with custom fantasy lore. Is this something you considered doing on an alternative rather, or is it technically possible? I don't know. I think a fantasy kind of situation would probably be more feasible on a different game, right? So, I don't think really any other game kind of supports it. And we're not gonna. I won't bullshit you. Like we always do look at other games that look at other ideas and such. Like GTA 6. I'm not gonna bullshit you guys. When if 6M launches or any other multiplayer format launches, you can bet that the Ranch name will be on there. Like. Ranch itself is a Red M server, but at the same time, the Ranch name is something that we wanna make sure carries on into other things. But we want to make sure that the quality is right. So the problem is if we made a new server, one server suffers. So we always want to make sure that we get it right. So if we ever made like, I'm not saying this is going to happen, so please take it as gospel, but like if we ever like decided, oh, do you know what, we'll do an Arc server. We would gain interest from people who aren't staff in in Red M, and kind of see what interest would be there, and then kind of build something upon that, rather than taking staff from current Red M. Transfers and stuff like that won't be allowed, all that kind of shit. Anyway, that's not something that would happen. But just to answer the question, it's possible. Anything's possible. Anything's possible on Red M. Don't let developers tell you that nothing's possible, because it is. What really pisses me off with other servers is they're like, oh, you can't do that. Like, an example I've seen recently is, oh, we can't raise the object limit in Red M. Like, it's a simple config edit. You can. It's really easy. You can tie it to culling, you can tie it to loading and unloading. You can do a lot of things with it, but people just tend to go, oh, it can't be done. So don't ever let anyone tell you it can't be done, because things can be done. So the fantasy side, not something we've wanted to do or really thought about or even planned, and I doubt it would be anything we would do, but it is definitely possible, yeah.
All right. So with that said, if there's nothing else that you have seen in your little notes that you don't wanna, do you think you've forgotten or skipped? I think it's time to pick.
Oh, actually, I've seen one. I just remembered the Poster King story. I don't know if anybody can see the Poster King role. I don't even know if he's in the server anymore now. But it was just touching back on the out of context. There was one time we got a report about a really bad poster in the server. and we was like, oh, here we go. Like this is going to be awful. It's going to be really like the worst of the worst. And it was me. I think it was me, Leo, and Golden all in the channel. And we dragged this guy in and was like, hey man, can you just show us the picture of what you've used? And I shit you not, it was a stock image of a horse with a cowboy hat on. And this guy had made it a poster and put it in game. Now, obviously, in game, it makes no sense. But like when we saw it, like it's really hard to take something like that so seriously. We pulled this guy into the clarification voice chat, and we were just fucking absolutely pissing ourselves. And ultimately, it was like, hey man, look, this isn't really in line with the ranch thing, but it's really funny. So we've given him a role. I don't know if he's still on the server, but the poster king role is given to that player. And oh my god, it was funny. It was one of the best
Is
things
that
I've
the
ever seen.
watermark on and everything?
Yeah, it's still got the fucking Shutterstock watermark on it. It was the best thing ever. Like I just couldn't believe that someone had done it, but at the same time I couldn't take it seriously, and I just lost my shit, man. Like it's so funny, and there's been loads of little stories like that where like there's been little funny things where you're like, we probably shouldn't, we're not going to punish this guy, but we shouldn't really encourage it either at the same time. Like there's so many funny little moments like that. So this is why I always say like work with staff and stuff like that as well, because ultimately we are human. We're all like we're all people, and at the same time things can be dealt differently. So it was funny though. It was so funny. I'm gonna try and find the picture now.
Yeah, please do.
Oh, Leo's already got it.
Has he got it? Genius. Yeah, there you go. So that was a poster in game, and I just could not stop laughing at it. Like it was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Like the crop too. The crops.
It was so badly cropped. It was so terrible. The watermark's still on it, and that was in game. Like it was beautiful. Long live Poster King.
All right. Well, with that, if there's nothing else, I'm gonna let Oaks do his shout outs. We gotta pick someone. We gotta pick someone to raid. And
okay.
Raid Shadow Legends.
Raid Shadow Legends.
And I just learned about the pop out menu, the pop out option today, so I can actually see Twitch right now.
Wait, you didn't know?
I did not know about that. I did not know about that. So
let's have a look. So who we got streaming right now?
Currently, we have Braden, Butch Cromwell, it's Joe G. Montana, Jason Walker, and Randall Bunnett.
I feel really bad, but I only know two of those.
We could do Randall.
Randall?
I was thinking.
Yeah.
I was thinking Butch actually. Oh no,
Butch?
he's AFK. Butch, how dare you be AFK, bro? You could have had a decent amount. Hang on, give me a second. So who else we got? So look at Sneezy Chimps. So look at this. Hang on. Yeah, that looks like a really good. Yeah, go Sneezy. Jason Walker.
All right. So Sneezy Chimp. Let me get the actual. Here we go. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you guys do your. You got 1 minute from now on to do your shout outs and you say your goodbyes. And again, I want to say thank you. Thank you, Oaks, for being here. Thank you for coming up with the idea, and thank you for hopefully, have helped people
enjoying it.
Yeah.
Introducing Raid Shadow Legends, the game where you can trade in your trusty steed for a dragon. Why deal with pesky tumbleweeds? I can't continue.
Shout out to Dip for being hot as always.
50% off on Legends and Shadow.
Shout out to wonderful staff team from testers to high admins. The service is amazing. Very fun for experience for me. Shout out to Oaks. Cool stream. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for being here.
Shout out to Goose.
Shout out to Goose.
Oh, I just remembered that thing. But before we end, sorry, I need this on record because it was fucking hilarious. Fucking when we first launched Ranch, shit, the raid's going down. Okay, so when we first launched Ranch, lead admins like would often like just check people who joined because we didn't want like really bad people. Anyway, Sai, when he was a lead admin, accidentally called somebody as they joined the server So like, all I can imagine from that person is imagine you've just joined a new roleplay server and one of the lead admins is immediately calling you. Like, yeah, weird, awkward, funny, but yeah, I had to get that out because it was hilarious. Anyway.
Did you try to make it like not seem like an accident?
No, he just owned up to it. He's like, straight up.
All right. Well,
Poor
you
side.
got about 10 seconds now to say your goodbyes. Any shout outs? Quickly, Oaks. Any shout outs?
I love Bird.
Me too.
All right. I'm sure Bird
That's
loves
it.
you. See you next week, guys.
Later.